the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
I think I may actually stick with the one that just flipped to Tennessee from South Carolina last week in Kamari Blair.
Okay. Have you seen him in person?
I have not seen him in person.
Okay.
Other than I've talked to him after a visit, but as far as seeing him compete, I've heard a lot of good things about him, and a lot of what I've heard obviously is supported by game film. Just think that he's one of those guys that he has the size that a lot of coaches will be looking for. And I think the biggest key that he has is he's so raw and youthful in what he does that for a college coach, they don't have to break any necessary bad habits, if that makes sense, to where they can bring him in instead of worried about breaking habits and then rebuilding. They're bringing him in and just straight building from the ground up. Which to me, I think, I don't want to say it makes an easy path to the field, but we'll give him extra time to pursue that versus, hey, let's work on your stance or work about your hand placement on this. He doesn't have any, I guess, a lot of bad habits, that you come in and just teach up what you do, and very high ceiling. I think Kamari Blair could be a kid that turns around in 2 or 3 years and people looking at that like that was a major flip and nobody even knew it at the time.
Do you think he's a tackle or a guard at Tennessee?
I would probably have to say tackle right now, just again because I've not had the opportunity away from film of seeing them in person to see how quick that first step is. I'd probably say tackle right now, but I would probably say that moving forward, he might be a guy that they try to move back to the inside, just for the versatility of it. But right now, probably a tackle.
Yeah, because I feel like they're going to have to figure that out with him and JB Shabazz, right?
Yes.
Like, I think one of those guys is going to have to shift inside. You're not taking 3 tackles in this class, or you won't keep them. Like, it's just it's Gage Ginther, right?
Numbers won't allow it to happen.
Like Sham Umarov, he moves inside. He was a tackle at Denmark, and Gage Ginther was a tackle in high school. That's why I didn't understand like the Darius Gray stuff, where I just can't spend big in the NIL era on a guy who can only play guard. He might be the best guard in college football. I would much rather spend big on a Kamari Blair than Darius Gray because he could be a tackle, he could be a guard, and I need that versatility because you just don't know until you get to campus and what your numbers look like. I need a guy who can go inside if need be and be on the outside if need be,
That's kind of, I'm glad you brought that up because that was something I had as a discussion whenever, Kamari Blair flips, and then a few days later, Darius Gray commits to South Carolina. So I posed the question, it's like, well, what were their plans for, Blair? Because if they recruited him in as a tackle, you would think him having the knowledge that number one interior guy coming would make him stay.
Right.
So either they had plans for Blair at guard, or they found out they were taking the number one and he backed out. Because I just don't see you having the angle to where you're having him at 2 different positions. Yeah. Blair knows he's coming, and instead of sticking and having a monstrous line class, leaves.
Yeah. It would be interesting to know. That's like one of those you'd love to have the conversations. Be like, all right, honestly, what was your thinking here? I am curious because it's just the timing. It's just the timing and everything else. Like Hezekiah Harris, he's publicly announcing a recommitment. That seems unlikely. that seems odd.
And that's what I tell people about Blair. The Blair flip to me wasn't a shock in terms of the actual flip itself. It was a shock of how soon it came. Like it was one of those, Tennessee.
Yeah, he was only committed for what, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks,
something like that. Yeah, it wasn't nothing crazy. And even then, he's originally had told someone, that at the end of the day, Tennessee was just late to the party. And so hearing that comment, it's like, I know Tennessee's not laying down on that one. Like they're going to, pursue him till signing day.
I mean, they did that with DeJuan Morris last year.
Yeah, and it's like, so if that's truly his mindset, and he remains open, he will give them the opportunity to flip him. And if Tennessee hits it hard, like they usually do with a lot of their guys, they'll make up that ground in the 6 months that they missed over the year and a half. And if Tennessee truly was that dream school, they'll make the marriage seem worth it.
100%. It's a great tackle class. I mean, the offensive line recruiting, Glenn Ellerby takes a lot of heat for developing some guys, but man, it's different. Like these last 2 classes, There's a lot of talent in these last two classes.
His assistant, Kevin Pendleton, also needs a shout out on that one. He does a very, very good job with engaging a lot of these guys.
Yeah, it's a good group, and I'm excited to see a couple new starters there this year. And I think you're still gonna have a couple. Like, we'll see where Max Anderson's at. We'll see where Satterwhite's at next year, because I think a lot of fans are looking at it like, oh, if Satterwhite doesn't start the year as center, and then it's Pendleton as we expect, that doesn't mean Pendleton will stay at center next year or stay at center this whole year. Like, you're gonna have different pieces on the like. He might slide over to guard. He's just a temporary center before Satterwhite might just need an extra year to get ready, and then Satterwhite runs with it, or Max Anderson runs with it at center, and that sort of thing. And Shea Mumarov might stick around for one more year, and he might be your Andre Carrick type guy. And so I think there's going to be multiple Glenn Ellerby, Kevin Pendleton recruited guys starting on the offensive
Nicely
line.
done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.